Alright. For the past 200,000 years, there has been one singular question that has been plaguing the fighting game community every so often, every few weeks, every so months, whatever the fuck. That question being, is the King of Fighters a hard game to get into, and is it a hard game to play? There's been a lot of talk on Twitter. Then again, when isn't there a lot of talk on Twitter? Because most of y'all motherfuckers just like to talk without listening to the other side. So y'all just yelling at each other back and forth without actually hearing each other out. But whatever, that's besides the point. No, it's not. That is the point. So I've been seeing both arguments. One side saying KOF is easy because it has this thing, that thing. You can use 3 characters and it has these tools and these mechanics. And the other side saying KOF is hard because it has this thing, that thing, all of these tools, all of these mechanics, and you have to use 3 characters. Now, I can see both sides of this argument. But the problem with it is most people aren't making clear and concise points without trying to bring the other side down, or without trying to sound extremely apprehensive towards the other point. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not necessarily a newcomer. I do have a few years under my belt at this point, so I have a little more of an understanding of how KOF works and how, you know, things go. And I am definitely not a veteran because I've only been around for about a good 5-6 years. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked on the YouTube community post if you guys think the game is hard, and if you do, what makes it a hard game? So what we're gonna do is go down this list of comments. I'm gonna try to answer and respond to as many as I possibly can without this going too goddamn long. I'm not gonna try to sway anyone's opinion, and I'm not gonna try to argue with anyone's opinion. I'm just gonna let you know what I think and how I feel about the series as a whole, as far as difficulty. So, y'all ready? Let's get into some bullshit.
Smash that like button, lick my ass!
So of course I asked if you guys think it's hard, if you think it's easy, or if you're just, you know, split down the middle with it. I'm split down the middle with it my damn self. So the majority of you are on the same page as I am. We're gonna see where the people lie with these 2 sections right here. This one, okay, okay. KOF's no harder than Tekken. Boss fights, however, let's just leave this part out altogether. Let's just leave the boss fights out of this whole thing, just in general. KOF's no harder than Tekken. I completely disagree with that one, mainly because I don't think this is a fair argument or comparison, being as though KOF's 2D and Tekken's 3D, especially for Tekken, where you have to do entire ass inputs to, you know, properly move, and you have to learn how to, you know, Korean backdash, wave dash. You gotta learn what side you gotta sidestep certain opponents and all of this other stuff. So yeah, just based on that alone, I don't agree with this. Not a massive KOF player, but the combo structure was probably the thing I struggled with the most in the beta. Alright, I can completely understand this, because if you come from a background of, you know, Street Fighter or other classic Capcom games, going into KOF trying to do combos is completely different. However, I understood KOF combo structure because of Street Fighter 4. By that I mean links and things like that. Things like light kick, light punch link into, you know, special move and things like that. But I know with KOF you have your links, you have your command normals, you have your combos after your command normals, and you have your max mode cancels and everything like that. So there's a lot to kind of take in when it comes to combo structure in KOF, especially when it's considered more freeform than Street Fighter as far as combos go. So I can see why anyone will be struggling with something like this, because I struggled with it for a while. It's not hard. I have seen kids as young as 10 win arcade matches against adults here in Mexico.
Sir, you just said Mexico. KOF is religion over there in Mexico. Down count.
Most people, I think, have gotten a very bad outlook simply from how hard KOF 13 trials are, and needing 3 characters too. Though those same people can do those trials, I'm sure of it. No. You had me in the first half. I will agree that the KOF 13 trials gave the game and the series itself a really misconstrued look, because you don't need those trials to actually succeed playing KOF. Actually, those trials in KOF 13 are impractical as all living hell, and they're just there for the sake of them being there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people cannot do those trials. I'm sure of that, sir. I think KOF is pretty hard due to unique characters and execution with combos, and the game doesn't tell you how to play. I hope you don't mean 15, because that game is literally not out yet. I don't know if you're just referring to the beta, because even going back to KOF 14 and 13, kind of think about it, they had pretty decent tutorials. It told you what your offensive options were. It told you how to do your special cancels, your max mode cancels, your advanced cancels, your climax cancels. It told you how to do all of that stuff. Your evasive actions, your blowbacks, and all of this other stuff. Unless you're saying it doesn't tell you how to play characters, that's a whole different thing. I think it depends on how much anyone's willing to learn. I mean, for most newbies out there, learning one character can be a pain, but 3 characters can be too much. Anyone who has learned a fighting game before won't struggle too much. And then there's the mechanics, whereas most people would assume moves are all you need to know. So pretty much how much depth you're willing to go into will make this game either easy or hard for everyone. I talked to my sister about the whole character thing the other day because a lot of people are making that argument. Most of the newcomers are saying they don't want to have to learn 3 characters, as opposed to the vets or the people who've been playing like for a certain amount of time have been saying, oh no, you learn multiple characters in fighting games anyway. My argument with that is most people do learn multiple characters in fighting games, but they learn them over time. Like KOF, not that it forces you to do 3v3 because you can do single matches, but the problem is 3v3 is the standard, and people only play online doing single matches for the first couple of weeks until they learn the characters that they want to play, or learn the team that they want to play. I say that because that's exactly what I did when I first started playing KOF 14. I wanted to learn Alice, I wanted to learn Angel, Angel, whatever, and I wanted to learn Yuri. Learning multiple characters can be a little bit overwhelming. People have to learn at their own pace, and no one wants to jump in and learn multiple characters immediately when they try to boot up a game. Hell, I know hella heads who are already saying they don't know what team they want to use, but they know one specific character that they want to use. My biggest hurdle in KOF is my poor execution, but this may be because I'm a pad player. Trying to hop reliably is hard, and execution timing feels very strict. I feel this one only because I started KOF back in KOF 13 on an Xbox 360 pad. It was fucking hell. So I completely feel this one because once I started using stick, not trying to tell you to go out and buy a $150 stick just to play KOF, but once I started using stick, short hops became a lot easier for me. But how do you short hop on hitbox? Do you just like tap the buttons incredibly soft? That will fuck me up, cause I be banging on buttons, especially in the heat of the matches. You ain't finna have me going nuts and unga bunga and shit and expect me to just tap for short hops. No. How y'all do that? Some combos are hard, but only the ones that do major damage. There we go. And he's dead. I still have no idea how to do Geese's super. Which one? I'm split because learning a single character, except for like Angel, is pretty simple. But learning 3 and knowing where to put them in what order is difficult for some people. Okay, I still don't know the proper order where I should be putting certain characters. In KOF 14, I played, my main team was Mwimwi, Yuri, Mian. I had Mwimwi on point, I had Yuri in the middle, and I had Mian as my anchor. That probably was improper as all living hell, but I did that shit because I was able to build a lot of meter with Mwimwi without having to use all of it. Yuri, I was just like using most of the meter, and then with Mian, I was just cleaning up. Probably could have reversed that whole shit, but whatever. I was like, you know what? I like this order the best, so this is what I'm going with. Probably wrong as hell, but this is what I'm going with. Plus, KOF has a very different flow than most other games, so adapting to that from other games could be difficult, like learning a role and dealing with short house specifically. Yeah, the neutral in KOF is probably one of the most difficult things that you can learn aside from, advanced combos and things like that. In most 2D fighting games, most classic or traditional 2D fighting games, of course, you're just walking back and forth. You might have your dash, you have your back dash, and things like that. But in KOF, you gotta back dash, you gotta run, you gotta short hop, you're jumping all over the place, as opposed to other games where people are telling you to not jump. Learning that you have to sometimes stay in the air and catch someone slipping, it can be a little bit overwhelming to newcomers. So getting used to the neutral is some shit. It's something that I haven't gotten used to myself. But then again, like I said, I'm only 5-6 years in and I'm still learning what the fuck KOF's neutral is. It's crazy. Usually it depends on how people approach and think on how KOF works. For the analogy, I will use anime fighters as comparison. If people think KOF neutral is the same like Street Fighter, then yeah, it's gonna be hard because people will move patiently waiting for I despise. Wait, man's really said
I despise inputs for supers in this game. Those are not new friendly. Otherwise, KOF 15
is quite approachable to get into for anyone that has casually played any other fighting game. Inputs. One of the more difficult things when it comes to KOF, especially when you're coming from like simpler games such as Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter to a certain extent, because you know Street Fighter is mainly just double quarter circles, things like that, when as opposed to KOF, quarter circle forward, half circle back, double half circle back, double half circle forward. That's just stuff that you gotta go into the lab and practice. When I was practicing this stuff for CVS and CVS 2 back in the day, I just took everything very slow. Practice going one side for the motion, then the other side, and I can't really explain it, but yeah, there are different methods and different approaches as far as doing these. You just gotta practice those. That's all I can say about that. Game isn't as difficult as something like Blaze Blue. Ooh, I literally just read this combo between Palashina and Cuddy last night. Holy hell! Game isn't as difficult as something like Blaze Blue. Most of the characters are simple and you can quickly learn what they do. The neutral and combo links are less strict than Street Fighter V. Ooh, I hard disagree with that one. Mainly the links part, the combo links. Street Fighter V links were made specifically to be easy as hell. You could damn near mash links in Street Fighter V. Biggest thing is mastering short hop, using max quick, and getting over being intimidated by the inputs. Learning multiple characters. Most people have 2 or 3 mains anyway. If you play Tekken, picking up 3 or 6 of these characters is nothing. Okay, no. Once again, we cannot use Tekken as a comparison. Not gonna say it's nothing. Learning multiple characters in Tekken is some shit. Like I said, most people learn multiple characters over a specific period of time, not immediately. I can't speak for older titles, but with KOF 15 being my first actual introduction into playing and trying to learn it, I didn't really find it that hard to pick up once I understood how the characters work and how they played. I will say though that it was a bit confusing at first getting used to the max mode mechanic and how I was supposed to properly use it, but again, over time I slowly started to figure it out. Alright, Coded Prophecy is an example of someone who's new to the series but took most of his fighting game knowledge that he already had, applied it to this, figured out how the characters worked, and made it work for himself. And of course, one of the main things he struggled getting at first was the max mode mechanic, because that's something you really do have to learn how to implement and when you should be using it. So this is basically an example of take some time, learn what you got to do, and it'll all come to you slowly. I think if you can play fighting games at all, KOF really isn't that hard. I believe that KOF 13 Trials left a negative impact on the series to the general consumer, especially with clickbaity titles like "This game is impossible." I think I literally said that earlier. A lot of people see those and shy away from the series, believing it will be too hard to ever play. This is what I just said. That's some crazy shit. Not realizing you don't even need to do those trials in the game to win. You'd be lucky to even land them. Sure, the older games are more execution heavy and hard to master, but that was just fighting games of the past in general. This dude read my mind. Either that or I read his mind. Good shit. No wonder I hearted it, because I agree with that shit. Like, I really agree with that shit. The last one I wanted to address, it was from my sister, because we talk about this all the time, was super cancels. She comes from a 3D background, so she never really played 2D games like that. So she comes from like Tekken, Virtua Fighter, DOA, Soul Calibur, things like that. So she's currently getting used to doing fireball inputs and DPs and things like that. So super cancels are foreign to her. So I've been trying to explain to her one of the more simple ways of doing a super cancel. She wants to use Shune and Benimaru. So what I have been explaining to her was doing one fireball, especially since both of those characters have fireball moves, and doing another one immediately after to cancel into the super instead of having to do fireball, double fireball. That's one thing I know some people do struggle with, super cancels and things like that. But like I said, that's something you really have to practice and really have to get used to. When the game comes out, you pretty much got to hit the lab. That's all everything boils down to, is hitting the lab. But to sound awful and everything that everyone has been arguing about, I don't think the game is too easy, but at the same time, I don't think it's too difficult. I think there's a gray area that everyone's pretty much ignoring. Well, not everyone, that most people are ignoring. You can tell a newcomer the game is easier than other fighting games because it has all of these mechanics that you can use and all of these tools and things like that. But at the same time, if they don't know how to use said mechanics and tools and everything like that, they're gonna think it's hard. Like, I can say some shit like, I don't know how to wave dash in Tekken. Somebody can just come to me and say, oh, wave dashing is easy. How the fuck you don't know how to wave dash? Like, everyone's different. And that's what everyone is ignoring. So there's like a lot of arguing and everything like that. Like, dude, when this game comes out, let's just all chill, run some lobbies, throw some hands, have fun with some cough, and teach the newcomers, as well as me. I don't think there need to be this much discourse over this whole thing. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are you arguing with newcomers saying the game is hard? Don't argue with them, teach them. It's that simple, fam. Jesus.